Hey, you guys, welcome back to I'm Not Gonna Lie. I'm your host, Ashley Cupid, and this is another episode. Yay! All right. um, I've been thinking a lot about how healing quietly changes your life. Sometimes you don't even notice it at first. You just, slowly start wanting different things, right? Different conversations, different environments, different ways of living. The things that I guess used to matter don't actually hold the same weight anymore. I think one of the strangest parts about growth is realizing your priorities begin changing before you fully understand why. Certain relationships start feeling heavier, certain environments stop feeling aligned, even success starts looking different. And I think that can feel confusing sometimes because nobody really talks about the grief that can come along with evolving. Like, what happens when the version of you that survived life is no longer the version of you that wants to continue living in the same way? What happens when your spirit starts craving peace more than validation, resting more than hustling? I think a lot of us are taught to constantly chase more productivity, more approval, more accomplishments. But lately, I've been wondering if healing is actually about becoming more intentional instead. And I think that's what this episode is really about. Why do our priorities change when we start changing eternally? Because sometimes the biggest sign of growth isn't what you gain, it's what no longer feels worth losing yourself for. I think for a long time, I measured my worth through productivity, how much I could accomplish, how available I could be for everybody, how much I could pour into people. I thought being needed meant being loved. And honestly, that mindset is exhausting and it exhausted the hell out of me because eventually you wake up and realize you've built a life where everybody can have access to you except for yourself. And I don't think we as people we talk enough about how burnout isn't always just like this physical thing. Sometimes, yes, burnout is spiritual. Sometimes our body and our soul gets very tired, our nervous system gets tired, everything's all out of whack, and we're dealing with emotions, because our heart gets tired of carrying versions of everybody and, including ourselves, different versions of ourselves that no longer fit anymore. And I think that's what started happening to me. I started craving peace more than attention, rest more than proving myself, death. Okay, not death, but death more than popularity, alignment more than validation. And once that shift started happening eternally, my priorities naturally changed. I truly believe healing changes what you tolerate. It changes what you entertain. It changes what you romanticize. Because once you start healing, chaos stops feeling exciting. And I know that sounds simple, but it's actually a huge transformation. Because some of us grew up in environments where stress felt normal, overthinking felt normal, people pleasing felt normal, being emotionally exhausted felt normal. So when peace finally enters your life, sometimes your body almost doesn't trust it. You're sitting there waiting for something bad to happen because your nervous system has been conditioned to survival instead of safety. And spiritually, I think God, the universe, or our ancestors, whatever you believe in, I think sometimes they remove our attachment to certain things because they know we're outgrowing them. Not as a punishment, but simply as protection. Because if we keep prioritizing the wrong things forever, we would lose ourselves trying to maintain a life that no longer aligns with who we are becoming. May feels like a month of reflection, redirection, and spiritual realignment. If you've been feeling emotionally overwhelmed, uncertain about your next chapter, disconnected from yourself, or simply needing clarity, this may be the perfect time for a life path tarot reading. These readings are designed to provide guidance, insight, and deeper understanding surrounding your current energy. personal growth, and the direction your spirit may be calling you toward. The May General Life Path readings are now open. This month is not about forcing, it's about listening. Listening to yourself, listening to your intuition, and the changes unfolding within you. If you feel called to book a reading for the month of May, please email me at divinewitch31 at gmail.com. I used to think success meant constantly doing more work, more goals, more accomplishments, more visibility. And now, honestly, success to me looks like emotional stability. Success looks like waking up without anxiety already controlling my mind, my body. It's being able to rest without guilt. It's protecting my peace and having genuine relationships. And it's creating a life that actually feels good eternally, not just it looks good on the outside. To me, that is what success looks like now. And I think social media sometimes confuses us because we're constantly consuming everybody else's timeline. And we all know that people only post what they want you to see. It's very few that people are very authentic and, they just want to post. But for the main part, it's about what they want you to see. It's their milestones. It's their own, highlight reel. You're being consumed other people's timelines, basically. But healing teaches you to stop asking, how can I impress people? And start asking, how do I want my life to feel? How do I want to come across authentically? What reflects me? What reflects my healing? What reflects my peace? And if I'm being honest, one of the hardest parts about changing priorities is realizing some people only knew older versions of you. The overextending version, the always available version, the version that abandoned themselves to make other people comfortable. And when you stop being that person, of course, some relationships, friendships, environments are going to shift. And that can hurt because growth sometimes requires grieving people who are still alive. And again, it's not because you hate them or they're bad people, but it's just your spirit no longer resonates with dynamics that drain you. And I personally feel like that's a hard one to swallow because most of us, we never want to walk away from people. We never want to walk away from situations. As you're on your self healing journey and self evolution, you realize that you don't have a choice but to outgrow and walk away. Now, however long that takes you to realize it along your journey, you will eventually learn it. And you find yourself walking away from things, that aren't going to give you the life that you deserve, the life that, makes you happy. And whatever that may look like and feel like, if there's anything that's going to be draining you in this new life, the life that you're creating, it's going to get left behind. I've also realized that wellness is deeper than really any type of wellness thing you can do, okay? Real wellness is about emotional and it's very spiritual and it's very mental. It's relational. It's asking yourself a lot of questions. We ask a lot of questions here on this show. I always say have pen and paper. What environments make me feel safe? What conversations are leaving me emotionally heavy? And what habits disconnect me from myself? These are very similar to the ones that I asked in the last episode. Episode 9 flows really well with this episode. So if you haven't heard last week's, then go ahead and listen to that one and then get into this one or finish this one. But realizing that wellness is way deeper than any type of like green juice or self care day. It's actually doing the work, it's actually doing the releasing as well. It's emotional and it comes with a lot of ups and downs and realizations. That's why a lot of people can never really heal themselves inside and out because they're unwilling to do the deeper work. That's okay, but that doesn't have to be you. Lastly, one thing that I have been learning lately, and when I say lately, I mean like years, and I've actually gotten a lot better, but it's how to slow down and realizing that slowing down doesn't mean that I failed. It just means that I deserve to experience my life while I'm living it, slow down in my slow girl era. And I think so many of us are rushing through life trying to arrive somewhere emotionally. And trying to become healed the fastest, trying to become successful fast, trying to become worthy fast. But honestly, healing is not a race, so take your time. Okay. Spirituality is not a performance. It's really you. You live, you eat, you breathe this. It consumes you in a way that aligns you with a higher frequency of just living, all the beautiful moments that life has to offer along with, the harder ones, but you learn how to work through those hard moments so that they no longer are hard moments, later on. So definitely slowing down, um, and living life and being in the moment and realizing, I can go at my own pace of how I want to heal, how I want to do my shadow work, and how I want to improve myself. So remember that and go at your sometimes your next level isn't more hustle. Sometimes your next level is learning how to sit still long enough to hear yourself again. And honestly, I think that's why my priorities change. I started listening to myself more. I started listening to my body more. I started listening to my spirit more. And once you start truly listening to yourself, your entire life starts reorganizing. I kid you not. I kid you not. It's okay to realize how scary growth can feel, right? Because even when we know we're evolving, there's still grief attached to it. And I actually talked about that in another episode this season. And this season really just aligns with like everything. It's like an organized checklist of like healing. I tried to, it's that's what it seems like it is because everything kind of really just like flows with it. But no one talks about how scary growth can be and grieving the old version of yourself and old coping mechanisms, old dreams, old friendships, old identities. And sometimes you even grieve the person who you thought you were going to become. And that's okay. So the fear of becoming different, that's normal and that's okay. And because of that, you have to know that if it's something that I fear so much, it has to be something that I love and I want to protect. So protecting yourself and realizing that I have to become someone different because I deserve to become someone different. I deserve to have a version of me that is experiencing new dreams, new friendships, new love, new ways of living, being healed and not really allowing the past and trauma and stuff to always consume how I move in life, and what I'm willing to accept and not accept. Like the fear of becoming different has to be the reason why you do become different. Simple as that. But, I just think healing teaches us that changing our priorities doesn't mean that, we failed or we're doing something wrong. It just means that we're becoming more honest with ourselves. And honestly, I think that's one of the most spiritual things a person can do is change your priorities and allowing the change of your priorities, allowing that to happen freely and flow into this person and this version of yourself that is unrecognizable, but in a good way. So, if your priorities have been changing lately, if you've been craving peace more, solitude more, rest more, you probably are not losing yourself. You are probably finding yourself. And I think that's beautiful. Even when it feels uncomfortable, even when people don't understand it, even when your life starts looking different than what you imagine. Okay? It's beautiful. I thank you guys for sitting with me during this conversation. I really hope this episode reminds somebody that it's okay to evolve, it's okay to change, it's okay to outgrow things, and it's okay for your priorities to shift as you heal. Because the goal was never to stay the same forever. The goal was always to become. So become. This is I'm Not Gonna Lie with Ashley Cupid. Make sure you guys subscribe, leave a review, share this episode with someone you love, and I'll talk to you guys next episode. Have an amazing day. Bye.